I'm James Gantry. I'm from Rogue Blade Games, and I'm here with Legends of Tabletop.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today, James. But yeah, Rogue Blade Games. This is your first Kickstarter, and is it not?
Yeah. It's our first one.
Oh, okay. How's the experience been so far?
Scary. It's been stressful, actually. It's at first it was very scary. I didn't know when it came to launching it. I was very apprehensive about launching it because I was so worried about it failing and just being a complete non-success. And so I was kind of really, and I was so desperate to make sure it was perfect and right. And it's always one of those things you always think, well, could I have done that? Could I have done something else? So at first it was very stressful. And when I pressed that launch button, it was done. And then I just had to sit there and wait and see what happened, really. But the whole thing in itself has been a bit stressful. It's been very much a roller coaster ride, ups and downs. And I've got to the point now where I think I'm just kind of like, I'm past all of it now, and now I just sit back and think, well, it'll happen. It's just been so, honestly, it's been every morning I wake up, open up my emails, and I dread opening them up because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know whether I'm going to get cancelled pledges or more pledges. I don't know what, and it is becoming a little bit of a stress, but it'll be fine, I'm sure.
Yeah. Did you have any idea what you were getting yourself into here?
No.
With the Kickstarter?
No. No, I didn't. No, it was one of those things where, I mean, we knew we wanted to make the game, and we have no money, basically, and none of us could afford to do it. And we've got a great team. I mean, honestly, the artists at the moment are pretty much working for nothing. And everybody's been really good, reducing prices and all sorts of stuff. And I knew that we needed to get the money together in order to make the game, because the game's we've rewritten it so many times. And now we've got it down to the point where we love it and we think it's great, and we just want to get it out there, really, and get it published and shared. And this is the only way we're going to ever do it. And without this funding, we just won't have a game. So
how long would you say the process was from idea genesis to completion where you are now with this game?
A little bit over a year.
Okay.
It was quite, a little bit over a year. I mean, I'm one of these people who works a lot on something. If I got an idea in my head, I'll just sit there, and everywhere I go, I'll be taking scraps of paper, notebooks, to the bath, to the toilet, wherever I'm at, I'm writing. And so it gets done very quickly. And luckily, the artists have been awesome and just been producing artwork after artwork after artwork. And that would be the one thing I think would probably take the most time, but most of the artwork's done. It's just me transferring everything from notebooks into any kind of written form that other people can understand. So yeah, it's probably about a year, I reckon.
Okay. Now, when you devote your time to writing regarding your game, would you say that you specifically scheduled a specific time during the day, or would it have been more of a free form?
Yeah, it's more free form.
Okay.
It depends. I mean, sometimes I'll not write something all day, and then in the middle of the night, I'll just want to write something. I'll get up and start writing. I can't, it's something that triggers it. I'll read something or watch something or be just thinking about something. It'll just trigger in my head. Oh, that's a nice idea. I'll use that. And so I'll just write it down. And I have notebooks everywhere. Honestly, I have a pile of notebooks. I mean, this is an indication of my notebook. And that's just one pile. There's a few others.
Yeah.
And so that's how it works. I just write, and hopefully it makes sense.
Excellent. When did you design your first game?
Well, our first game.
Yeah.
Well, we were originally called, well, we still are in a way. Some of us are still. We were originally called Feral Games, and we produced a lot of free games because I've always been a role player all my life, and I've always done homebrew games. I've always made games, and so I decided to do a role-playing game based on dungeons called Delve, and I weren't very up on how to use a lot of the technology I was using. I didn't know how to use things like Office and all this sort of stuff. So a lot of it was just kind of knocked together, and I kind of learned on the way. So Delve was kind of my first game, and it was good because all the artwork was borrowed. We went onto DeviantArt and basically asked everybody on DeviantArt that we liked, can we borrow your artwork? We can do a free game and we'll credit you for it. And a lot of people said, yeah. So all the artwork was borrowed off people, and it was a good success. I mean,
yeah,
downloads. It was, it's not perfect in any sense of the word. It was popular, so
cool.
That was great. And since
Let's
then,
see.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just what are your feelings in general about Kickstarter as the new paradigm for bringing new games to market?
I think Kickstarter has become, it has problems. I think at first, I'm sure it's a great idea, right? The whole concept of Kickstarter is a great idea, but I think people use it wrong. And I think that's a lot of problems where people use it as a kind of a pre-ordering system. And you see, I know, this is just me saying it, and I could be completely wrong, and I completely understand that. But when I see companies that are showing games, where they've obviously made prototypes and they've obviously playing the game, I think to myself, well, you've already made the game. You know what I mean? You're now going on Kickstarter, because basically what you're trying to do is see how many people are going to pre-order the game and see if it's worthwhile to make more. And I think that's fair enough, but for a small company like us, we can't afford to make a prototype. We can't sit there and make copies of our game because we just don't have the money for it. And so what we really are doing, we are actually what Kickstarter was built for. We are the concept. We have this great idea. We want to make it, which is what Kickstarter was built for, really. It wasn't built as a pre-order system for something that's already been made, And I think there's an awful lot that goes on. And I think it kind of takes away from the people who actually are trying to actually get something funded so they can make it, rather than have something just so they can see if it's worth making it, which is a completely different thing, really, And I can sit here and name names and stuff of companies that are doing this at this moment, but I'm not going to. But it just seems to me that it's kind of losing its the idea behind it a little bit sometimes,
Yeah, I understand that. And again, this is a dark fantasy role-playing game. Were you influenced by Warhammer Fantasy at all?
No. Okay. I played Warhammer Fantasy, and it was all right. But what we're running is completely different. If I was influenced by anything, I was probably more influenced by games like Call of Cthulhu, possibly Dungeon World, maybe. And the games I used to play as a kid, like RuneQuest and Rollmaster. But no, Warhammer has its niche, and you either like Warhammer or you don't. I think, and it's one of those things because the system's a little bit strange, and it's very much built into that Warhammer world that's got chaos and that sort of stuff. And it's not really like that. So no, I wasn't influenced by that in the slightest.
All right. Now, I know we touched on this a little bit in the pre-broadcast mode, but can you tell us a little bit more about Chronicles of Aerthe?
Okay, right. The Chronicles of Aerthe is set in a world that has had a magical event, which was caused by a race of people that lived before the event and were devastated, destroyed by the event, who tried to get in contact and be closer to gods and be gods themselves. So they created this magical event, which was meant to be designed to call upon the gods and gain their favor, but unfortunately it went completely wrong. And what it did was it ripped reality, untethered reality from its moorings, if you like, and caused this thing called the convergence. Now, the world of Earth is one of many worlds. There's loads, and they're all kind of parallel worlds to. So you imagine, like, other Earths, and so they all kind of look the same, but they're all different dimensions and so forth of the same thing, right? And what the convergence did was basically cause these worlds to suddenly synchronize and begin to orbit with the Earth. and they began to merge and pass by. And so now all these realities kind of exist in one reality, and the gods live between these realities. So it's all a bit kind of, but basically what happened was, after it caused tidal waves and volcanic eruptions and all this other stuff, when everything settled down, a lot of these worlds had merged and left echoes of themselves, which were like, for instance, you could have a desert with a forest in it, because it would be an echo of one of these realities that crossed through our reality, or it'd be a city within a city, or a lot of races appeared, like the elves, for instance. The Ilvan appeared, the Draugr were already there, the Elau appeared, and they all came from these other realities where they were left behind as echoes. And there's also now fractures where you can pass into these other realities and these other worlds. So you're not just stuck on Earth anymore. The Earth is a large place, and there's going to be lots of different continents, and we're hoping to meet lots of different books, and each continent is going to be slightly different and slightly differently affected by the merging. But you can also pass through these fractures into other worlds, which are all fantasy worlds. They're all, there's no cyber, or there's none of this. They're all in the same kind of time zone, but they all exist differently. So there's going to be different races, different monsters, different places. You'll be able to make characters in these different worlds and go into Earth. So you'll be able to go to all these different places and basically make hundreds of different types of characters, hundreds of different races. And it's going to be quite vast if we get to that level where we can actually create all these different worlds. And we're even going to make a GM pack where they can create their own worlds.
Excellent.
So, so they can go into these worlds and then they can make them, and it's quite vast, really. So, yeah.
Okay. Now you say gates and rifts in there. Would that be anything like, say, what Clive Barker suggested in Everville, or anything like that? Have you read that story?
No, I haven't. No. No, sorry.
The Great and Secret Show.
Oh, I've heard of it. I know Clive Barker.
Okay.
I know it. I've just never read it.
Okay.
The only Clive Barker's books I've read, actually, I think, are the short stories he wrote. What they called?
The Books of Blood.
The Books of Blood. Yeah. I've read all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hellraiser stuff and all sort of things. So, but I now never read The Great and Secret Show. So I don't know. Possibly.
I think that's the Books of the Art 1 through 3, right. And he hasn't finished 3 yet. So.
Okay. Right.
Let's see. There is. We talked a little bit about this. There is a strong Lovecraftian element with the inclusion of the dark gods and even the lost island of Veralia. Are you a big Lovecraft fan?
Yeah, I am a huge Lovecraft fan, and it's definitely an element I wanted to add, though I didn't want to make it too obvious. It's not something that, it's not going to be around every corner. You're going to bump into, a deep one or something. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be very subtle. And even though there's lots of dark gods, a few of them are Cthulhu kind of esque. For instance, like the Vildal, who are the sort of equivalent of the Wild Elves, I guess. They worship the dark god of the dark goat of the woods. So it's never called Shub Nilgarath. It's the dark goat of the woods. And we do have like the servants of Yig in the desert kingdoms, who are kind of like the lizard people. But all of these things have come from other realms. So the possibility is that there will be other realms which could be very Cthulhu. It's up to how a GM wants to do that. If a GM wants to make a world or realm of Cthulhu-esque type monsters, then they can do that. It's up to them. It's like a dream world in effect, right? That's something they can do themselves. But we're kind of hinting at it in the game a little bit without making it too obvious.
Excellent. Now, what would you say are some of the challenges you've faced creating a new game system?
Creating a new game system is quite a challenge. Yeah. Because there's so many out there and stuff. What we wanted to do was, when we looked into making the game system, the first thing I did was basically go around all the forums and all the websites and Googled everything: the perfect hit system, the perfect stat system, the perfect skill system. What do you look for in a wound system? And basically looking at everybody's answers. and look at what people had written about it and what they prefer, what they don't prefer, what they like, what they don't like. And so what we did was we amalgamated all this information and tried to make the system that everybody seemed to want. And it seemed to me that every role-playing game have great systems, but sometimes there are things that people don't like in one bit, or it could be, you know, I'd like to have that system in this system because that would work really well, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So what we tried to do was we basically tried to gather all of that as much as possible and build a system around what people wanted rather than what worked, really. I mean, it works, obviously, but that was not our priority. It was actually just getting a system that we liked, that other people would like to play and make it work, really. So, I mean, one of the big things, I think, was stealth. We went onto a lot of forums, and a lot of people were saying how stealth was underplayed and it was just a skill and it didn't really do anything, and it seemed like it could be so much more interesting or more fun. So we actually created, I mean, there's a whole chapter on stealth, because we think that stealth is just as important as combat or magic, because it can make or break a game, right? If you get seen by the guards, that's the end of it, right? It shouldn't just be a roll of the dice. So we looked at a lot of forums. A lot of people were going on about having stealth as a more of a kind of mini game within a game, which we kind of liked. So we created stealth zones where people actually have stress levels based upon stealth, so they can move within an area, and that area's lighting, the area's cover, the area's how the guards are aware, how aware the guards are. All of that comes into effect of building that stealth zone and how difficult it is to travel through it. And the more difficult it becomes, the more stressed the character becomes. Yep. And when he bumps into something, he may make a small noise, but it doesn't mean the guards will suddenly come investigate and attacking. They'll just become more aware and start looking around, which means that the actual area becomes more difficult, which means the actual character becomes more stressed. And it kind of builds this whole kind of build up of intrigue and excitement of, am I going to get through this area, you know? Which you get in a lot of computer games, really. Like, I mean, I remember stealthing around Skyrim and, you know, trying to avoid the guards and stuff. You don't really get that in a role-playing game. You roll your stealth, oh, I did it, oh, I didn't do it, and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind
rather
of
than a
fail.
Yeah, the binary yes, no. I mean, it makes it pretty limiting. Yeah. versus making it a non-binary, like let's add 10 options here and ramp it up a little bit or ramp it down.
Exactly.
Do you remember playing a very, very, very old video game called Dungeons of Dread? Not Dungeons of Dreadmore, Dungeons of Daggereth, where it had the heart rate of...
Oh, no. I've never played it, actually. That sounds really cool.
It's very...
It's like the one I was thinking of, actually, that I've never played it, but I've heard a lot about it, and I watched videos on YouTube about it, was Darkest Dungeon. I kind of like the element where you got like people can have heart attacks. You know, the characters can actually be so fearful that they could actually freak out. Now, I mean, obviously we're not going to go that far because that would just be silly, but I like the fact that people become more fearful or more stressed, and it affects how they operate. And that's definitely something we're playing today. You want that element to show how human your character is. He's not just a piece of paper. You know, he's affected by stuff around him, you know, on a different level than just, oh, right, you know, it's like, that's one of the things about Cthulhu. I don't know, it depends how you play it, I suppose, but when you have, like, you know, the temporary insanities and stuff. Now, for that to work, you have to really play it, you know, you have to really role play that. But a lot of people say, oh, okay, you've got temporary insanity, you know, you'll keep touching your face. And people just don't, oh, okay. And that's the end of it. Do you know what I mean? You don't hear about it again until the rounds are up. But, oh, yeah, temporary insanity is finished. Oh, okay. But we want people, the idea is that when you role play, it's about role playing. It's not about just rolling dice, you know. So we're very much trying to create this whole narrative element where people actually role play properly and actually feel their characters actually being stressed or getting scared, and it actually affects everything they do, you know. So
that makes me pretty excited to play Chronicles of Aerthe. Really, it does.
We're all role players. We've all been role playing for donkey's years, and we all know what we like and don't like in games and what we look for in games. And even though a game may look amazing, it's often a bit flat when it comes to actually playing it. You know, you think, oh, okay, like every other game. But we didn't want that to happen. We wanted it to look amazing, but we also wanted people to look at it and think, wow, that's a really cool idea. And it won't be for everybody. I mean, it won't be for everyone. Like, we know that. It won't be for the people who just happily just roll dice for everything they want to do. And just,
that's the difference between ROLL play and ROLE.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so we're really going for the kind of, role players who want to play out, immerse themselves into a world and for 4 hours and just be somewhere else,
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the point for me when I play Call of Cthulhu, which I do play and run version 5. Yeah. I know I'm dated that way, but
I do version 6 and 5. I've never even tried 7 yet.
I haven't yet either. I'm sorry, Chaosium.
I don't see, if it's not broken, why fix it?
Well, yeah, I do still need to buy the version 7 source book for Call of Cthulhu. Guilty confession here. But yeah, when you are not designing games, what do you like to play?
That's interesting, actually. I'm playing at the moment. I've been playing Fallout 4, but I was playing on the PlayStation, so I'm now very disappointed by the fact that I can no longer get mods. So I've kind of lost interest in that a little bit. So I'm a bit. But I've also been playing things like Dark Souls. I play a lot of the them sort of Bloodborne and the Dark Souls games. I really love those. Witcher 3, play that. But generally speaking, I maybe play on my PlayStation maybe an hour at the most a day, maybe even a couple of days, an hour, whenever. But a lot of the time I'm either writing or thinking of something. You know what I mean? Playing. I even had a dream the other night, and now I've even now from that dream, I've arranged with another small publisher to work on a horror game together at some point in the future.
Well, that's cool. Keep us posted. Please do keep us posted on it.
So at the moment we've got, I've now got this horror game in my head. So I'm thinking like, well, that'd be good. That'd be quite interesting, be different. So I'm going to need to write all that out and not write it all out, but just write down a synopsis so I can send it over to the other guys and take them a look at it. But yeah, I'm very much into cross working with other small publishers and helping each other out. And I think that's very important.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially in small publishers, you've got to have some sense of community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we actually, I don't know if on the Kickstarter, we actually have a pledge level where you can actually, if you pledge $30 or £23, you can actually get a copy of Chronicles of Aerthe and Demon Gate, which is another awesome dark fantasy role-playing game, which is also done on Kickstarter at the moment. You can get a copy of both games for $30 as PDFs. So and they've got the same pledge on their Kickstarter. So we kind of worked together on that, and I think it was just something we really felt we needed to do because it just helps each other out, and it's something that both supports each other, and it'd be great to see us both funded and have 2 amazing games on the market. So it's something we really want to do. So.
Absolutely, and that kind of beat me to the punch here with another question, which would be for $33, we'll get you the core rule book and all 3 players' guides as PDFs.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
All right, I thought so. But yeah, is Feral Games still producing games, or are you focusing solely on role-played games now?
Feral Games have recently produced the Wasteland Hack, which is based on the Black Hack, but set in the Wasteland. And they've also recently done the Vehicle Hack, which is the vehicle rules for it, and the Settlers Pack, which was how to build settlements and stuff for the game. And that's been going extra well, very, very well indeed. And we also they also just released a Pirate Hack, which is set on pirates using the Black Hack. Where it has got ship-to-ship combat and all that sort of stuff, and all these things are available with Drive-Thru RPG for a couple of dollars, so you can buy them, But yeah, they've been doing all of that, so they've been going amazingly well, and they're also now working on redoing the Zombie Squad, which was one of their more popular games, one of the second game I ever wrote, which had like 1,000 downloads in a day. It was massively popular, and that was another one that I could have done better. because I just didn't know what I was doing. But so now we're looking at it and thinking, right, we're going to rewrite this, not rewrite it as such, but we're doing 2 editions. So we're doing a director's cut, which is going to be the original rules, but cleaner, tidied up, better layout, actual layout, rather than me just slapping things into GIMP. And all of this stuff. So that's going to be director's cut. That's going to be a new version, which will be available on drive-through for like $5. And if you've already downloaded it, you'll get it for free. So if you downloaded the original, you'll get the free. And they were also doing a second edition called the Zombie Squad Death Row Edition, which is going to be based using the Powered by Apocalypse rules, the Apocalypse engine. So we're doing that one as well, and that's going to be another feral game. So yeah, we're doing the Zombie Squad, which is going to be very good. And I'm quite excited about it because the Zombie Squad's an awesome game. It's been very popular.
Can you remind us again where we can get those games? At least check them out if we haven't already.
Right, the Zombie Squad is available through Drive-Thru-RPG for free. You can download it for nothing. It's a sci-fi fantasy game set in a kind of where you're a penal battalion, ex-military prisoners sent out to do the dirty jobs with very minimum lifespan, hence the Zombie Squad, because you're basically Walking Dead. Delve is also free. You can download that from Drive-Thru. The Wasteland Hack, the Pirate Hack are both available from Drive-Thru for $2 each. There's also lots of different packs for them and stuff, which are all generally free to download. We did a Super Secret Spy Agency, which was kind of like I wrote it after watching Kingsman because I thought that was such an awesome movie. So that's now available. That's also available to download for free off Drive-Thru-RPG, and that's pretty much everything Feral Games has done. Really, most of it's free or $2, so it's easy to grab. But I'd grab the Zombie Squad, especially if we're going to do a special edition, because the reissue of it will be free to those people who already downloaded it. So it's worth grabbing if you get the chance. And also with things like Chronicles of Aerthe, the Chronicles of Aerthe Quick Start Guide is also available on Drive-Thru-RPG under Rogueblade Games, and that's free as well. And it gives you a quick start. There's a little venture in there, some pre-generated characters, so that's worth checking out. And hopefully the actual main game will be also available on Drive-Thru-RPG, but that will depend on whether we get funded or not. Because if we don't get funded, we don't make the game, unfortunately.
Where do you stand as of today with your fund?
I think we're £800 short of our goal.
And your goal
is £5,000. Yeah.
Oh, that fraction-wise, that is but a fraction. And yeah, so it's not that much, people. Come on.
No, I mean, we really are saying that we're not somebody who has made this game already, and we're all sitting around playing it with our little hardbacks in our hands. Where we actually do need the money to make the game. If we don't get the money, we just can't afford to make it. And it will be a case of me having to, sell the kittens in order to make the game. No, but I mean, no, seriously, this is, the artists have all worked very hard on getting the artwork done, and it would be nice to actually pay them something. They've all been really dedicated, and they're great people, and they're all really desperate to see this game made. We all are, and it'd just be really cool to get it made, because it's kind of really mad, because I feel really responsible, and if it doesn't get funded, I'm going to feel really guilty with all these people who just made all this artwork, and we just can't give them anything for it. And I think that would just be that's my main worry, is letting people down on it who have worked so hard. I mean, we probably will relaunch it at some future date, but it'd be nice not to have to do that,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do seriously want to see this succeed. The world seems very rich and very well developed so far. I want to see this reach completion in its development. So you don't have, there's not that far to go, people.
No.
Yeah, so if you would like, I'd like to launch into something called the Final Five, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
And why?
Because I grew up with Star Wars. I didn't grow up with Star Trek. I mean, I do enjoy Star Trek, but it came to me later. And so Star Wars always has fond memories. I bought all the toys and I had the Death Star and Millennium Falcon and all that stuff. And I remember sitting in the garden, playing with my stormtroopers and Darth Vader and, burying Han Solo and all that sort of stuff. And I remember all of that, and it's just fond memories. I think, and it's just, I mean, the last 3 movies, were a bit, but the new one, I love the new one, and I love the originals, and Star Wars, just because,
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to be contrarian and go with Star Trek in general, simply because the storylines are thicker. There's much more content available. That was my first exposure, even though I bear the name of Princess Leia, but that's okay. Star Trek for me.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. Video games or tabletop? I see you've mentioned both in our interview.
Yeah.
So.
At the moment, I'd prefer. I enjoy a good tabletop RPG over a role-playing game on the computer any day. I mean, even on computers, I play role-playing games. I don't really play much else. But you can't beat the interaction with others in a role-playing game with a good group of people that you'd like to role-play with. I think you just can't beat it, really.
I'm gonna have to agree. Now on this one, DC or Marvel?
That's interesting. I used to work in a comic shop, so but I tend to be one of those people who bought a lot of sort of independent stuff. But if I was going to go anything, I would say DC Vertigo rather than DC superheroes. I mean, Batman's pretty cool when he's good; he's very good. But Vertigo was my kind of go-to of Hellblazer, Sandman, and things like that. I loved that, and Preacher was awesome.
Yes, yes, it was. That's my all-time hands-down favorite.
Exactly, right. And then with Marvel, I did like Marvel, but I only liked it when Garth Ennis wrote it. The Punisher stuff was great with him writing. I recently kind of got more into sort of Daredevil. I think Ed Brubaker, when he wrote it, that was really good. But I mean, I've never been an X-Men fan. I like the films, they're all right. But I've never been a comic X-Men fan because I don't like comics that I'm going to have to buy hundreds and hundreds of issues just to understand it. And I think Spider-Man is good, but they keep messing with him and it ruins it. Yeah. But DC is rubbish when it comes to TV shows. I mean, Daredevil's good, but their movies are below par when it comes to Marvel films. So, but I'd have to go DC Vertigo, Marvel Knights. I think it was Marvel Knights when it were more adult kind of content with Garth Ennis doing the Punisher. That was good. I like those.
Yeah, so. Garth Ennis. I'm a fan of Garth. So, yeah.
Well, he was Preacher writers, wasn't he? So he wrote Preacher and he wrote Lucifer, the original Lucifer comics. They were really good. Yeah. So yeah.
Sci-fi or
fantasy? Depends. It really depends on what what it is. I'll say this now. I'm not a D&D fan, but I've never come across a great sci-fi setting yet. I mean, I've enjoyed Fading Suns, and sci-fi movies. I mean, with movies, obviously, the sci-fi always. I mean, Lord of the Rings was all right. It was good, but I've watched sci-fi movies more often. I'm more post-apocalyptic, to be honest. I like Mad Max and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, so I'd say it depends. It's hard to say really what it is. Depends what it is.
Literature, I'm just going to have to go on the edge of fantasy, but with movies, definitely sci-fi. One of my favorites will always be Event Horizon.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, but if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Invisibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know actually. Thinking about it. Let me think. Impervious to injury.
Okay.
I don't know. I often thought when I was like younger and stuff, I used to think, wouldn't it be cool to be able to speak every language in the world, to understand every language? I always thought that. So I don't know if that would be a superpower.
Some polyglots can seem quite superpower-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my superhero in inverted commas. My favourites have been things like Batman and Punisher, who aren't really superheroes at all. They're not superpowered. So, I don't know, really. I don't know. Okay. Being able to take a lot of damage would be kind of cool. When I was little, I used to always think that was cool. Learning languages and knowing every martial art. But it's not something I've really thought about a lot. You know, I did a lot when I was a kid, but yeah, no, I don't know.
Really. In your adult life, you haven't run across any situations where knowing a martial art, that would be fantastic in this situation.
I think knowing martial art and in various different languages would be even better.
Yeah.
Be able to say, I'm going to kick your ass in like 30 different languages and then actually do it. I mean, what more do you need? Yeah.
Oh, man. But thank you so much for taking the time
right.
out of your evening.
Yeah, no.
Actually, what time is it? Is it like 9:30
there? Yeah, it's 8:30, 8:37.
Oh, good. It's not as late as I thought it was.
No, that's all right.
But I'll let you get back with your kitties.
Yeah, that's not been very entertaining. So. Let me go wake them up.
That's quite all right.
Entertain me.
No. No. So you've got not that much further. You've got 800 pounds to go.
Yeah.
And how many days?
6.
6 days. So certainly this can be achieved. This goal can definitely be achieved. I'm looking at the camera. Come on, people.
Yeah, I was told that the last few days are kind of similar to the first few days, and we reached I think we reached a good total very quickly actually in the first few days. So if it is the same, that would be great. I would have liked to hit some stretch goals because we had a great team of people who are waiting to do some work. Who are all industry sort of knowns, Darren Pierce and Gillian, his wife Gillian Pierce, who just won an Emmy for Dracula dossier. We had one of the artists who worked with Pathfinder, a cartographer, an artist who's worked with Chaosium. All of these people were sort of waiting to do the stretch goals and stuff, but we didn't really get that far, unfortunately. So they're all out of work. So, unfortunately, unless we relaunch and we hit it next time. But yeah, it would have been nice to get some stretch goals, but it is our first one.
Yes.
So maybe that was a bit ambitious. But it would have been nice. But it doesn't matter. As long as we get funded, that's the important thing. We get the game out there and we can, basically rest. take a week off. That'd be nice. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, anyway. Yes, the Chronicles of Aerthe. Am I saying that right? The Chronicles of Aerthe.
It depends where you come from and who you are, and people pronounce it Chronicles of Aerthe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
That was been fun,
and I appreciate it, and I look forward to speaking with you again once you have released Chronicles of Aerthe.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Yeah, so it's going to happen. It's just a question of when.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with leaving the chat? Just close your window?
Oh yeah, I can just
Okay.
I can just do that, yeah. Brilliant.
Have a wonderful evening. And thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Bye.